Hello and welcome to the CodCast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt. So you're back, been on the road in Melbourne.
Been on the road in Melbourne, I had a roadshow last week, slipped in about 7 or 8 meetings, really good. I mean, you could not have got a better time to be out talking to investors with all the excitement in copper, with New Worlds under 2 bids, Xanadu under bid. I mean, things seem to be moving in the copper space. That was exciting, really good time to be talking about Coda, where we're at, what we're doing as well. Also had the Taekwondo National Championships this weekend, so beaten up by the big guys, and they put me up a weight category.
How'd you go?
I got a gold and a bronze.
Oh, nice, well done.
And my daughter also came across a couple of silvers, a couple of bronzes. So clean up as a family, and we're off to Italy for the World Championships to represent Australia again in October. Came straight back into board meeting, audit, budgets and the whole lot, and then also trying to finish this announcement. I think we were probably targeting next week, and we managed to get it done a bit quicker.
Yeah, I mean, well, we have been working on it for a while, and these things have a tendency to all come together at once, and it finally did. So
we really hauled to get everything done yesterday, and I'm pleased with the announcement. I mean, we're going to talk today about what this means, and as always with the CodCast, this is the chance to really talk about the background and try and help people understand exactly what's in the announcement. So let's get into it, right? What does this mean? There's some numbers in the announcement. We talk about recoveries. We talk about copper and silver, and we'll talk about the cobalt in a bit. We talk about copper and silver and this whole ore leaching process, which has resulted in recoveries of copper and silver going from 82%. And they're already pretty solid. I mean, one of the things with this project is we've been working on the metallurgy. I mean, every team works on their metallurgy, or should be. But we've had leaps and bounds with this project since we've been involved with it. But this is huge. This is 95, 96 copper and 96, 97% silver recoveries. You don't see that very often outside of very simple gold projects.
Yeah, it's definitely right up there.
Everyone talks about grade being king, but a huge part of that is how much of it you can recover. It's an enormous lever to pull, because obviously every % increase in recoveries is a direct translation to increased revenue. And you don't have to mine it, you don't have to process it anymore. It's effectively just doing more with what you've got.
Yeah, those costs don't increase as your recoveries do, but your revenue does.
Yeah, obviously like for like.
Yeah.
Within the same process, you increase the recoveries, it's just a straight increase in revenue.
For any given ton.
Yeah, for every given ton. And that flows into a whole bunch of other things, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, if your recovery increases, then you might have a marginal ton that previously wasn't included in your mine plan, which when you reassess it with the new recovery numbers, suddenly it is. It's profitable. So
theoretically, your recoveries go up. You can economically mine more of the mineralization that's in the ground. That's your resource to reserve or production target conversion ratio.
Yep. So more copper out of every ton.
Yep.
Potentially more tons out of the ground.
Yep.
Which is more leverage to the copper price.
Fantastic. Now, this is quite a different process. So the previous work going up to December 2024 was doing more with the exact same flow sheet.
Yep.
So how does this flow sheet differ? What are we doing?
So the key difference, I think, is going from a flotation concentrate hydromet to a straight up whole ore leach.
Yeah.
So a flotation concentration step is essentially taking the rock out of the ground, you crush it, you grind it, and then you put it through a series of flotation cells trying to get rid of the non-mineralized material, essentially getting rid of the gangue to increase the metal grade of your processed material. That's a concentrate. In our case, it goes from about 1 to 2% copper up to about 20%, and the cobalt and the silver concentrate as well. Then you take that and you put it through your Albion process, which is what you use to actually get the metal out of the rock and into the liquor.
Yeah.
And then the liquor goes through the extraction process, essentially. Your SXEW to pull out your copper, and then your cobalt sulfate, zinc carbonate, silver doré. The new process is a whole ore process, so you don't need to concentrate it. It goes in at the 1 to 2% copper, it comes out of the ground. It's been crushed and ground, but that's all you do to it. And it gets extracted directly out of that whole ore, hence why it's whole ore leach, into the liquor, and then into that back end. So you're producing the same products, but you're doing it with a significantly less complicated flow sheet.
Yes.
There's no flotation, there's no concentration needed. And in theory, that means you need less capital equipment to process any given time.
Yeah.
So
CapEx should go down.
should go down.
And again, I just want to emphasize, we're talking about a new process. We are still very much progressing the base case. This is a case used all over the world. There are quite a lot of things bolted together, but they're relatively, very well known. They're relatively simple. There is quite limited technical risk in this, and we've done a lot of test work on it. We've probably gone as far as we're going to go with this flow sheet in terms of recovery improvement.
With the flotation flow sheet.
With the flotation.
Yes.
And this whole Leach is interesting because it reduces CapEx, it increases recoveries, and it opens up a whole world of really interesting opportunities for fast startup, lower CapEx, focusing on the copper and the silver, focusing on the open pits. You know, there's a lot of opportunities here that we're now working through.
Yeah. And it's also, you mentioned before that the other ones were, you know, a lot of well understood processes bolted together. What we're doing here isn't exactly new. I mean, chloride leaching and
It's used extensively.
Antofagasta,
Yeah.
I read it a lot, but I never seem to say it. They've got a mine in Chile that's using chloride leaching. Even Port Pirie, just down the road from us in South Australia, their lead smelter there has chloride leaching as part of the copper stream that comes out of that. So it's not ubiquitous the way something like flotation is, but it's certainly not new or completely novel.
Yeah, and again, look, just in case people are wondering, we're not thick. I mean, we tried this a few times. Technology moves on, the way that you apply this, you know, there has been a lot of work over the years, and it just hasn't compared favorably to the flotation-based flow sheet up until now. We've made some tweaks. There's quite a lot of IP that goes into this to get it to where it's got to, right?
Yeah. There's more to it than just chucking it in a vat of salty water and hoping it works. But yeah, it's taken a little while, and lots of different consultants have had a crack, and we've sort of tried to get our own ideas in there, and it's started to come good. And it has come good. I mean, 97%. You can't really argue too much with that.
No. And you know, it's from test work, independent assays. Again, there is more work to do.
Yeah.
Quite a lot more work to do. Maybe we'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk about the cobalt. I'm going to sort of say, for those watching, Matt is a geologist. And the amount of time I've seen you working late at night, poring over chemistry and metallurgy, you know, studies and in academic journals, and you know, helping our chemist who's a PhD polymer chemist. He's no fool, this guy. He's fantastic. And so, I mean, some of this stuff really, you know, every mineralization is different. Things apply different. Sometimes there's tiny changes that make breakthroughs. And I think that's what's happened here, right? It's team effort, lots of hard work, and a very brilliant chemist.
Yeah, I'm not going to take too much of the credit off Carl. He's done the hard yards.
Oh, he certainly has.
I like to think we are contributing as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, it's been a good team effort and a lot of effort too. We've talked about the copper and the silver and, you know, huge increase in recoveries from this process. We talked about the cobalt somewhat in the announcement, but maybe let's talk in a little bit more detail. We're talking about the chemistry behind it as sort of as simply as possible. What's happening with the cobalt right now?
Yeah, so the cobalt at Elizabeth Creek is carolite, which historically has really benefited us because carolite floats really well. Yeah. We get plus 90% recoveries on the cobalt when we do it through a flotation paradigm. When you're in leaching, it's a different situation. So the cobalt in carolite is in what's called the 3+ oxidation state, which essentially means it's 3 electrons short of being balanced. And what we need to do is get it into the 2+ state, which is much more soluble, and you can get it through your process. The problem is all the leaches we've been doing are oxidative. They're designed to take electrons away, which is the opposite of what we want to do.
For cobalt.
For cobalt. Great for copper, great for silver, but it was never going to get the cobalt into solution. Yeah. And we knew that going in.
That was always the plan, but we know we need an extra stage. So what does that look like?
Yeah, look, all you really need is you need a second stage. So we have a couple of options. Number one, we know it floats. So we could potentially pop a little flotation circuit on the back end, take those residues, float out the cobalt that way. Option number two, and that's the one that we're testing right now, is to go from an oxidative leach to a reductive leach. Slightly different chemistry, but same basic concept. You take the residue out of one tank, pop it into another one, and then you leave it with a reductant, and that should, theoretically, take that cobalt-3, convert to cobalt-2, and it comes into solution and all works basically the same way as the copper and the silver did.
Yeah, and we got cobalt in a bath right now.
Yep, sitting with the Mets, and
I've got images of candles and just sitting there chilling. But yeah, so cobalt's with the Mets in the bath right now, and we're doing some more testing on it. So yeah, copper and silver, one process. You need an extra one with cobalt. We're currently doing that. There's always flotation for cobalt because it floats so well.
Yeah, and that'll probably be driving news flow for the next several weeks, getting the results from the cobalt and also optimizing our silver and copper leach, making sure our reagents are as low as possible and getting our solid percentage as high as possible so the CapEx can be optimized. All the stuff you do in the lead into a CapEx and OpEx estimate so we can start to understand the economic implications.
Now, the next stage is, I mean, one of the challenges with the CodCast is we talk about things so openly. I mean, I sometimes worry we make things sound overly complex. The reality is this is how you do a met.
Yeah, it's how you develop your flow sheet.
Yeah, it's how you develop a flow sheet. Everyone goes through the same thing. We just talk about it on camera. Next stage, I mean, we know exactly what we need to do. We need to get the next optimization work going, move into the CapEx, OpEx estimates and be able to quantify this, because at the end of the day, we're here to drive shareholder value, make money, make the project more valuable. When we get the emails on news flow, look, trust us, we feel it. We feel it really hard. I mean, it's usually because we're going hell for leather to get work done. And one thing we don't do at Coda is put out half-baked results. You know, very proud to say we put a lot of effort in, don't we?
Oh, yeah. And often when you're waiting on news flow, it's because we're sitting here desperately waiting on assay labs or some equivalent.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I walk into your office to say, have you found the assay lab? It's like, yes, of course I've found the assay lab, Chris. Now, I did want to talk about the market on this podcast, but we've gone long. We always do. I mean, look, all I'm going to say is it's getting hot right now. Thank you to New World and Xanadu and Quintera and Camel for proving right what we said on the podcast a few weeks ago, right?
It's all about having your approvals and having your PFS and being in a position to be acquired.
You should have your strategy well articulated, and our strategy is progress the project, make it all that it can be and should be, and it already is very solid and comparable to the companies we just mentioned in terms of financial metrics. More advanced companies, been around a lot longer, but our strategy is simple, and again, love being proven right on that one. So, it's great to see as well people we like, companies we like, and good to see success for everyone and their shareholders.
Absolutely. It's good for the sector.
It's what we're here to do, drive value, everyone, and it's lovely to see the wins. With that, I think good time to pause, and we're going to get back to working, aren't we?
Back to understanding the chemistry.
Exactly. Thank you very much, everyone, and appreciate it. As always, send us questions, and if you got this far, I really do appreciate it. Thank you.